Okay, so March 13th, Google had a core algorithm update.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me back up. So, Google, how they determine who shows up where on the search engine results page is is using an algorithm, which is basically just here's a bunch of different factors on how we're going to determine who shows up, and there's hundreds of factors, right?
Right.
And so there's all these calculations done based on those factors, and then yeah, you get those results page. You get the results like on the results page, right?
So it's basically how they rank you, right?
Yeah,
So
how they rank you, how they determine how to rank you
right.
is I guess a good way to put
So
it.
for anybody that's like real novice on this, what you're talking about is when I type in the best basketball shoe and
Right.
the top results.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
in
It's
Google, you typed it in, and the first things that come up that aren't sponsored, which are ads.
right.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's determining who shows up where in a search page, just like you were describing. So they're always changing things like in the algorithm. They're always tweaking things. They want to bring the best results to the user because they want the user to always go to them. Right now,
Mm,
Google's got a huge chunk of the market share. Like
right.
most people use Google, right?
Yeah.
It is worth pointing out that it is changing with AI. I
Really.
think for the first time in a very, very long time, they're below the 90% market share because of
Oh,
AI.
interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But
So which companies are taking over? Is it like ChatGPT?
ChatGPT, Perplexity.
So people are searching for things just within ChatGPT,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
that makes sense.
Well, and too, I think Microsoft's Bing is getting a larger chunk of the market share
Really, really.
because they're integrated with ChatGPT.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
yeah, I think that's been a big part of why Google's market share has decreased and where more people are going to some other search engines.
Mm,
So, but that's a little side topic there. But this core update that just happened on the 13th has been a very interesting one. So when it's talking about core updates, usually we see really big swings in rankings. And
mm.
so if you're keeping track of your keyword rankings, which you should be, you might see some big changes coming up in the next few days. So the interesting thing though about this one is people started noticing big changes in their keyword rankings well before this update came out. So there was speculation that this core algorithm update came out sooner. Some of the
That's
main
interesting.
Google guys that basically answer public questions and things like that, they came out and said no, this isn't related. And so and it didn't seem like there is a huge volatility in how Google determines the rankings. And there's a bunch of SEO tools. They'll have kind of weather or temperature gauges on how volatile the rankings are. And it didn't really show a whole lot of differences now compared to when the core update happened.
So from your ad accounts, you didn't see a huge swing in any direction.
On the SEO tools.
Oh,
Not
okay.
not the ad accounts. Yeah. So
Okay,
like
I understand.
yeah,
Yeah,
so the organic
right. It's all organic.
rankings.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. And so I'm glad you asked that. So yeah, like there hasn't been a major shift, but it could still be coming.
Mm,
So typically when these updates happen, these core updates happen, it doesn't happen all at once.
right.
And so it'll get rolled out over time, kind of like you were talking about in a previous episode with how the search or how social features kind of get rolled out
Yeah.
to certain
They want to make
accounts.
sure it doesn't crash their system or
Right.
something crazy happens that they weren't expecting. So
Right.
they do it slowly.
And Google does the same thing because they don't want everybody to experience negative search results
Yeah.
because, they want people to be happy with the search
Yeah, that
results.
makes sense.
So yeah, so we could see some updates happening very soon. You might see a lot of your rankings have fluctuations for the better or for the worse. Um, kind of okay, so this is great. What now is we first need to make sure that we're tracking our keywords.
Mm,
If we're not tracking keywords, which I know a lot of companies aren't, especially small businesses,
right.
we need to start. And there's a lot of tools that allow you to do that. Most of them are paid, but it's worth forking out some money to be able to get a good idea of what's happening. That way as you're just noticing fluctuations in traffic and revenue to your business, you're not left wondering why. If you're tracking relevant keywords in these SEO tools, you can see which keywords had either positive or negative results due to some of these algorithm updates.
Now, for these softwares, do you have a list of software that they can go see? Like basically say, these are the ones I recommend at what price points so that anybody listening could go find those?
Yeah, certainly. And I think we should have that up on the website at launchingpros.com. We're going to get a list there. What I use a lot is SEMrush or SEMrush, however you
Yeah,
want to
right.
say it. I've used Moz, MOZ, and we'll link to all these in the show notes and descriptions and so yeah, like when it comes to tracking your rankings, there's not really one platform that outshines the other. It's just you need to be able to understand where your rankings are.
Mm,
And that's just a number, right? Like,
right.
so it's like if you want to go for best men's basketball shoes, you want to know where your website ranks for search terms like that.
Mm.
And so that's the number one thing that you need to do to be able to understand what's happening in these updates that Google's doing constantly. And so that's the number one thing. I would say the most important second thing is making sure you're following the best practices of search engine optimization or SEO. Google has made a huge push for a long time to not try to game the system, to make really good quality content for the user. And they say if you do that, you should rank good and not have to worry so much about some of these algorithm updates. I find that the people who suffer the most from these updates are the people that are really trying to game the system and do things that they probably shouldn't be doing that Google discourages,
Like
right?
be spammy is kind of
Yeah,
what you're
being
talking about.
spammy. So like there were these things called link farms, and they probably still exist out there, but they're not as common anymore. But basically, it was a network of websites that you could pay and say, "Hey, link to my website," and they would say, "Okay, we'll link to them from all of our websites, hundreds or thousands, and you'll get hundreds or thousands of links." And backlinks are super important in helping Google help you rank better, but but Google like was looking at these link farms and saying, "No, this isn't good. Like
Mm,
these aren't
right.
quality links." And so at one point they did an algorithm update to where they basically penalized all the websites that were using link farms, right?
Yeah.
And Google's always said like do good high quality backlinks, don't do spammy ones. And so finally they got serious about it and said, we're going to punish you for doing it.
That's interesting.
And so always keep up to date on the best practices for SEO. Launchingpros.com is a great place to do that, where we're keeping everyone up to date on SEO best practices. So and you can find them out all over the internet, but we try to kind of help consolidate, get through the fluff. Like
Yeah.
we hate fluff just as much as anybody else. Like we just want to get to the meat of the content.
Show what's important.
Yeah. Show what's going on and what we need to do about it.
Thanks for listening, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment below on if you agreed with today's topic, disagreed with today's topic. Let's start a discussion to figure out the best practices to grow your small business.
Please visit us at launchingpros.com, where you can find more information on how to grow your business as an entrepreneur.